Hey there, my name is George Burciaga, and I'm the managing partner of the U.S. Mayoral Roundtable. And I'm excited today because we have an incredible session with three incredible mayors. And I'm excited to really move into our topic, which is reinventing our future cities, leveraging the power of public-private partnerships and how they're changing the way our cities operate. But before we go into introducing our incredible mayors today, I just want to say thank you to a few folks. First, Smart City Expo World Congress, the largest smart city event that happens in the world. This year takes place November 5th through the 7th. The U.S. Roundtable will be there with our U.S. cities representing the innovation that's being leveraged and deployed out of the U.S. so that way we can share this information across the world to other city leaders. So we're excited about that. I'd also like to say thank you to Tomorrow Cities, the platform where this will air. And we'll continue to air these on a regular basis. So we're excited to have our incredible mayors on today from three incredible cities. So with that said, we're going to start our introductions. Mayor Castor, please introduce yourself and tell us something about you that we need to know about.
All right. I'm Jane Castor. I was born and raised in the city of Tampa. I spent 31 years with the Tampa Police Department, 6 years as the chief of police there. Retired in 2015, ran for mayor in 2019, and I am in my second 4-year term. And we have 2-term limits here in the city of Tampa. So 3 more years to transform Tampa's tomorrow.
I love it. And I know you've done a lot of incredible things that we're going to talk about in a minute, but also the fact that you were police chief. Thank you. Thank you for the service you put in. Thank you for changing the transformation that's occurred in your city. So thank you for all of that. Now we have Mayor Holt. Please tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, thank you, George, and thanks for having us. So, like Jane, I was born and raised in the city where I now serve as mayor. Oklahoma City is America's 20th largest city, and I've always been engaged in public service in a lot of different roles. I was always attracted to it. I went out to D.C. to get my undergraduate at George Washington. I came back. I ended up being my predecessor's chief of staff for 5 years, and then I served in the state senate for 8 years, and then I was elected in 2018. So I am also in my second term here as mayor. And in our form of government, we don't really pay our mayors a living wage, even though we're a big city. And this is a form of government more common as you get kind of in the Southwest. There's a lot of big cities that have a similar situation. And so I am also the dean of our law school here in Oklahoma City. So that's actually where I'm sitting right this very moment, is at my alma mater, where I graduated from, Oklahoma City University School of Law. And then I am hoping to follow in Mayor Barnett's footsteps, and I'm sure this will come out here in a moment as you introduce him, but I am slated to be the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors in about a year from now.
I love it. And in fact, you'll take the position of the vice president shortly. So congratulations to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Mayor Barnett, tell us something about you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, George. It's nice to be on with you and with great friends and colleagues and Mayor Castor and Mayor Holt. I'm the mayor of the city of Rochester Hills, Michigan. We're a city of about 80,000 people, just about 20 minutes north of the city of Detroit. Been mayor here for a long time. I've been mayor for 18 years in Rochester Hills, winning a couple traditional elections. And then my last 3 elections I've won in sort of an unusual fashion as a write-in candidate, which is certainly not the easiest way to do it, but I've been fortunate to have found some success there. Love what I do. Love the idea of taking technology and using it to advance different things. A lot of people don't think that's easy to do in local government, but there's so many unique ways to do it. I, as Mayor Holt said, was fortunate enough to be a past president of the United States Conference of Mayors in 2019 and 2020. Great organization that connects mayors just like this one, and looking forward to our conversation today.
Well, I love it, and thank you, because I was there while you were, I was at the events while you were president. You did an incredible job, so thank you for your leadership. In this case, we're going to redirect some of our conversation to what you just said, but really specifically around public-private partnerships. With that said, I know that there's a lot of incredible opportunities, a lot of incredible projects that have taken place in each one of your cities. But what I'd like to ask Mayor Castor, with the delivery of public-private partnerships, how have you used it to enhance public safety infrastructure, and what were maybe some of the lessons learned that other cities could benefit from?
Yeah, that's very interesting, especially if we focus just in on technology, because, with 31 years experience, I could talk about a lot of different partnerships that we've had. But one that really stands out is the development of a software for our officers. It's called Street Smart. And there are 3 elements to that. And it actually was created with a users group and then with a company, a technology company. So they took the business principles from our officers and investigators and developed this software that's being used throughout the United States. 3 aspects to it. One was a mapping system. So as soon as crimes were reported and officers would validate those, they went onto a map. So in real time, not only could officers see, but so could the community. And you can hone in on those dots on a map and see specifically down to the reports at that location. Another one element of it that was beneficial from day one, for those not familiar with law enforcement, street officer will go and take a report, say, of a robbery, and then that report would be referred up to a detective, and it would take days, if not weeks, to follow through on that. The other element was that the responding officers can issue an alert bulletin immediately. And the day that we put this into effect, this program, we had a commercial burglary. The officer put a photo off of the video surveillance camera, and another officer caught the burglar just a few blocks down the road. That never would have happened in the past. And lastly is the element that is the communication. We kind of refer to it as taking the place of the notebook in the back of the officer's pocket. Our officers work 4 days on, 4 days off. So the one cycle kind of falls off the face of the earth. So the officers who are working enter all of the notes into the system. So when officers come back, not only do they have that information from those previous 4 days, but it's also searchable. And as the words are entered into this system, they are highlighted and the font becomes much bigger. So it's so easy to search this system. So that has been an incredible tool for our officers to keep our city safe. We have a couple more examples, like our license plate readers that we use throughout, not just the city of Tampa and the county of Hillsborough, but the entire Tampa Bay region. That keeps our city safe too. But one I want to talk about that I thought would be very valuable, and we did hit a roadblock with it. So we introduced body-worn cameras. Officers, record all of their interactions with the community. One of the things when I was a police chief, I worried about was, what if an officer has been acting inappropriately, and then you finally have this video that comes up, and you weren't aware of the previous activity. So there's a company that's using AI, and I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about that, uses AI for certain words and then activities. And they can go back and search all of that body-worn footage that is in storage and be able to provide that information to the police staff. And we ran into resistance with our police union on that. So that's something that as AI is introduced and will have dramatic impact in public safety, not to mention so many other areas, it is something that we have to work through some of that pushback that we'll see with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, Mayor, you touched on so many important topics that really are game changing. And what we're finding out as we work with a number of mayors across the country, AI is starting to play a very significant role, but they're also starting to implement a lot of the features you just talked about, where it seems like you've been ahead of the curve, kind of leveraging this for a while now, and using a lot of the logic you picked up earlier on in creating this as you move forward. I'll give you one quick example. Mayor Aftab in Cincinnati has been piloting, and we've been supportive in sort of telling this story as well, leveraging AI across to dispatch 311 and 911 conversations. So to your point, it will pick up on screen everything that's happening by keywords to be able to better understand and create those notes you're referring to. So that way, when the police officer gets there, they actually know what they're walking into. And then also the idea of live streaming through a call, so that way the dispatcher can actually see what's going on in real time, which is being tested now there. That's just an example, but you've been doing this already, which is incredible.
Yeah, and just real quickly on the other end of that, we just received a $1.5 million grant from BJA for violence prevention. And so we partnered with a group called Safe and Sound that provides services for youth, and then with the University of South Florida. And University of South Florida is going to mine data for indicators that would show a path where a juvenile may be making the wrong choices, and we could intervene prior to them coming in contact with the police department. So that's something that we're looking forward to as well.
Well, I appreciate that, because I think we have a lot to learn just from your statements. I'm going to switch gears a little bit to Mayor Holt. With everything going on in Oklahoma, can you maybe talk a little bit specifically about some projects that are utilizing public-private partnerships to improve urban mobility or similar types of services within your city? And what were the key factors that contributed to some of the success with any of the projects that you've been working on?
I should say, as a general matter, I mean, I could go on all day about public-private partnerships, and certainly we have utilized our public investments, of which we have had many over the last 30 years, thanks to an initiative that my colleagues are sick of hearing about called MAPS, that invests in our city and has put, we're looking at $3 or $4 billion now over those 30 years into a lot of different quality of life initiatives. Those have often led or partnered directly with the private sector to kind of make the investment go farther. Honestly, I mean, and I don't think this is any secret to anyone who lives in Oklahoma City, urban mobility, public transit is a struggle for us. And we have less to talk about in this area. We're like many Southwestern cities, and that we were built around the automobile. We're 620 square miles inside the city limits, which is one of the 5 largest populated cities in the United States by geographic size. So I think we have really not offered a high level of public transit options to our residents. We're trying to change that. I think there's been a lot of interest in this over the last 10 years, and we have created the state's first regional transit authority with 2 of our suburbs, and we're looking in the next year at having a vote that would actually put us on the path to having rail-based commuter transit in our community, which we don't have. We don't have anything like that. We have a downtown streetcar, which we opened in the last few years, but that's just a circulator for the Central Business District. We've never had anything, that's really for what transit calls choice riders. We've had some public-private partnerships and things like, our bike share program. We've had some public-private partnerships kind of along the fringes of some of our services, like with streetcar, sponsorships and other things to, provide for free days or ongoing sort of operational subsidies. But honestly, I would need to listen more than I would need to talk when it comes to public-private partnerships relative to urban mobility, because that's just, transit, mobility. These are issues that honestly, cities like ours, big spread out cities built around the automobile, have not not been great at. And so, I think we're more an example of a blank slate for private entities who maybe specialize in this around the country, around the world, to come and talk to us about how they can be of assistance. Because honestly, we have a lot of work to do.
Well, it's incredible that you say that, sort of a blank slate to kind of work from, which is a positive in a direction of rethinking how tech can play a significant
This is
role.
my son George, by the way, trying to sneak by.
He's got a good name. Yeah, he's got a good name. I love it. But Mayor, the idea that you have opportunity to create changes, I think why we're on this, call, right? The idea that we could actually learn, shift things around and lean into technology. In most cases, I'll give you an example. In Chicago, we've struggled on the transportation side, even though we have all of it, because some of it is more legacy driven. It's a lot of stuff that has been here for a while. So, we have, I know that Mayor Johnson has a number of complaints because of maybe the tech that has not evolved and some of the infrastructure changes that have to improve. On January 26th, our group, the U.S. Roundtable, in partnership with Mayor Johnson, launched an initiative around what we'll call intelligent infrastructure. It's a national program that will move into other cities where we brought private sector to the table, about 35 companies from around the world, to really rethink how we can take the older infrastructure that's here in Chicago, where I'm at, and rethink how to use it. So January 26th, we launched it. We met again April 29th. We called that the 3 months in between the assessment period, where we looked at infrastructure, to your point, and stuff that could change. And we found out there was a lot of work to do here, even with all of the pieces in place. We also included with that the review of public safety and smart government, meaning how could we improve our infrastructure to become safer tools for us, and including mobility and other things around us. And then the other side was, how do we actually look at improving the way the internal workings of the city operate moving forward, looking for efficiencies, optimizing services, connecting to residents a little bit differently moving forward. So we saw, a lot of opportunity out of, to your point, this could be an opportunity where folks come to you to talk about what urban mobility looks like in a similar sense. I think that's a great opportunity. Yep.
George, I got to make David feel better about his lack of transit, because I always say that mass transit in Tampa is more than two people in an SUV. If you don't have that, it's just the cost, of transit, and it really is for us here in Florida and in Tampa specifically. It is going to be public-private partnerships. We've had Brightline that's gone from Miami to Orlando, and now they're coming down to Tampa. But it really would be amazing people would be amazed by how many large cities in the United States really lack any transit solutions.
I know that Tampa has one unique method of transportation that the rest of us lack, and because I've been on Mayor Castor's boat. They have basically the Venice of the United States, and maybe that's why they don't need all that public transit.
We've got.
They just boat now.
That's you charged me to ride your boat. I remember that. I was like,
yes, I did. I did charge you, rightfully so. You have to.
Did he pay you? Did he pay you?
You wouldn't let me on it.
The guy never pays his debts. I mean, that.
Mayor Barnett, with you not paying your debts, at least tell us a little bit. At least tell us a little bit about some of maybe the advancements in technologies using some public-private partnerships that you guys have leaned into in your city.
Yeah, no, I got a little thrown out at the last comments because I was writing down that Mayor Holt was going to listen more than he talked, and I think that threw Jane and I both off a little bit. But first of all, George, thanks for what you do and what the U.S. Mayoral Roundtable does in connecting these conversations. I always like to think, I think sometimes people think local government is not sort of an incubator of great uses of technology, that it's these, these coastal, high-tech companies that are doing it. But I love to give a couple examples of kind of the sort of meat and potatoes of what government has done and how we've added technology. One of the big things here in every community is trash collection. And we had not a great story to tell about recycling in our community. People just didn't do it to the percentage that we thought we should be doing it in a relatively educated community. We partnered with a private sector company. We ended up putting chips on the garbage cans that measured people's participation in recycling. And then we tied that to a rewards program where people could get a free gallon of milk at the grocery store. They could donate it to their kids' elementary school for green-related projects. And we went from one of the worst recycling communities to now about 10 years in a row, we've been number one in Michigan for recycling. About 85% of our people recycle every week. And that's been an exceptional partnership that we couldn't have done without the private sector's technology and assistance. Another problem that we have that Jane doesn't have is, occasionally we have snowstorms. And, when you get snow, the quicker you plow, the better. And you're usually judged about how well the last storm was handled. So and they never come, like at Tuesdays at 1:00 when it's really convenient. They always come at challenging times. Again, partnering with some folks that had some really unique technology. We put lasers on all of our plow trucks to help find the edges of streets at night, which eliminated the mailboxes that unfortunately happen to get hit all too often. We put a plow tracker system in place so that residents could see in real time where the plows were. So people would say, hey, your plows aren't even out. Well, we direct them to a website. They can see where they are in real time and see generally if they're getting closer to their house or not. Those aren't necessarily the sexiest of topics, but our level of complaints has gone down dramatically because we've given people the information and the place to find the information themselves. So I think local government is a great place to infuse technology in some of the most maybe basic governmental services because it's ripe for improvement. And efficiency can always be improved. Something every mayor is really looking to do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And what you said, the idea that you're putting chips in the cans makes a lot of sense. I'll give you a reason why I keep hearing what you just said. When we started the initiative in Chicago, the task force, the main objective was how can we identify. How can we pick up garbage on time, and can we relieve potholes? Right? They were the things that would matter the most in some cases to the people who live here. Right? It was the obvious fixes. And I remember someone asked Mayor Daley, what was the secret to being a great mayor? He said, I always picked up the garbage on time. It was more meant that, hey, I'm connecting to things that matter to everybody at that point, opposed to looking at sort of, just one group, which I love. I'm going to switch gears and just kind of talk quickly about the future. Mayor Holt, in your city, could you kind of give us some ideas of maybe what you're thinking about for the future? It doesn't have to be anything you're working on today, but if you could, or maybe you are, work towards creating some change, leveraging tech, or to some capacity. Anything you could give us that maybe you would like to work on or you are working on?
Well, we are a community that's always kind of like thinking about the next big thing that we're going to work on. We've been very mission focused really for 30 years. In December of last year, we passed an initiative for $1 billion arena. That secured a 30-year commitment from our NBA team, which is very vital to sort of our identity and our place, kind of in the conversation of top tier cities. So we'll be building that over the next few years. We have a fairly aggressive timeline of hoping to get that open by 2028. And within the world of arenas, we hope that it is cutting edge, and with a budget of $1 billion, that we can, really do something special for our community. I mean, it's worth acknowledging that the Clippers are about to open a $2 billion arena. So it's not going to be the most expensive arena that's ever been built, but it will be, I think, upper tier and gives a lot of opportunities for new technology, but more obviously in an entertainment space. We are also will be continuing to roll out Maps 4 projects over the next decade, probably. So that's 16 different projects, $1 billion. And, we'll certainly want to make sure, as appropriate, that those projects are cutting edge and are utilizing in their respective spheres, the latest and greatest opportunities and ways that we can serve our residents. But that stuff's already passed and baked. I mean, for me, the real work is trying to tee up, the next big initiatives for our community. And really, it'll probably be to some extent transit, as I alluded to earlier. I mean, I think we're going to have probably a major transit vote in 2025 or 2026. That'll really be the first one in our community, and just trying to find the right balance between the political appetite of the electorate and the needs that we would like to serve in this city and in this metro, really, in this context. So I think that's kind of the next big thing for us. We will also have another. We do every decade or so a big bond issue vote on core infrastructure. And as has been well covered in this conversation, just because it's core infrastructure, just because it's stuff that cities have been doing for 200 years doesn't mean that it can't be innovative. There's lots of fresh and innovative ways to provide trash service and street repairs and all the things that people think of and have thought of in relation to municipal government for a long time. So we'll certainly look for opportunities there. That'll probably be 1.5 billion plus in that bond issue. So we have just continued to have in our community a culture of investing in ourselves, and that investment of many billions of dollars has translated into tremendous population growth, strong economic growth, and just sort of a rise as a community into the top tier of American cities. So, and hand in hand with that, obviously, we'll want to make sure that we're on the cutting edge. I don't know if we have the appetite to be on the bleeding edge, but we want to be on the cutting edge. And we created I think we were 10 years behind on this, but we created a chief innovation officer 2 years ago. And that person is sort of tasked with kind of being apprised of these developments and also making sure that, these thoughts and these new concepts are bridging what often can be silos among city departments. A lot of times innovative stuff really cuts across city departments. And so many times there aren't very many people who are empowered to do that. And that's why you often need somebody like this in a city's infrastructure. And so we created that innovation position. And I'm sure they'll be continuing to look at a lot of the things that your organization brings forward and things that cities around the United States, like Rochester Hills and in Tampa, are doing. Oh, and Rochester Hills, literally has a park, right? Isn't it called Innovation Park or something? Yeah.
Yeah, it's right. It's in our DNA.
Yeah. So it is right at the core of what Mayor Barnett is doing in Rochester Hills. So even a little backwater like Rochester Hills is a place that we in Oklahoma City.
He's coming after you now.
In your $1.5 billion cash outlay, do you think you'll be able to improve internet connection at that place you're in right now?
Well, this is like he's like the Matrix. So we're on fine. But real quick, Mayor, if you don't mind, what I'd love to do is connect with your CIO and maybe even see if we can get him to participate in some of the task force meetings that we're holding. I mentioned 35 private sector folks from around the world. I forgot to mention, we also have about 10 other cities that are listening into the Chicago task force meeting just to kind of share ideas. So if that's okay, I'd love to invite that person to listen.
It's a she, and send an email and we'll make the connection.
Yeah, because we have a number of other CIOs and CTOs who are participating and kind of lending information, sharing it back and forth, do's and don'ts, because some ideas that come up, maybe someone else has worked on in another city, and they can kind of guide what worked and what didn't work. But could just be a good group. If not, they'll meet a lot of other. This person will meet a lot of other CIOs from other cities and private sector as well. Mayor Castor, tell us a little bit about what you're thinking, kind of future focus. If you could make just about anything happen, or if there's something in the pipeline, what would that be?
Right. Well, we don't have any issues with snow, so that's a good sunshine down here. But the recycling is a great idea. I'll take that. And it is amazing. The first U.S. Conference of Mayors gathering that I went to, mostly because it was in Hawaii, but it was when I was first a mayor in 2019. And I went to recycling. I thought I'll be, myself and the presenter, and it was standing room only. So it's those basic services that mayors need to be concerned with. One of the things that we do is that I'm making this sound like we do it on a regular basis. We've actually done it once, but we intend to continue, is to get with our incubators, our entrepreneurial ecosystem, all of the different groups that we have throughout our city, and we present issues that we have in the city. The first one was traffic and transit associated. And so we present problems, and then these groups present the solutions to us. And so that's one way of, being able to sort of be on that cutting edge, but as David said, not the bleeding edge of technology, and including groups within the city, private groups within the city. Another thing that we did, which isn't sexy, I'm going to be remembered as the wastewater mayor, won't surprise my friends Brian or David. But one of the things, we hadn't replaced wastewater pipes 80 to 100 years. And so we have the technology that can measure, the lifespan, the condition of these wastewater pipes, as well as our roadways. We have all of our roadways are graded, so we know where those that need immediate repair are at. So we passed a $2.9 billion, what we call pipes plan, to replace wastewater pipes. And it's simply fascinating to me on our wastewater pipes, instead of digging those up, you just put a fiberglass lining through that, which is cured with pressurized hot water, and then a robot goes in and cuts out the commercial residential access. And then the same thing with the water pipes. You hook all the residences' commercial water up to a fire hydrant, and then there's a pipe burster that goes through, breaks up the old pipe, pulls a new one through. 20 minutes to hook the residents and commercial businesses back up. So, those are the kind of simple ideas that I think we're probably all implementing. Another one is, we are a Bloomberg city, and we were just accepted into the Data Alliance. And I know that has been very helpful for cities nationwide to be able to take those siloed information databases that you have and integrate those to better serve your community. One of the drawbacks with the technological advances and government, I know that Rochester Hills and Oklahoma City move at a probably much more rapid pace than we do down here in Tampa. But the technology, by the time you implement some of these solutions, the new technologies are out. So that's always a concern for us down here, is that technology is just changing so quick that you got to try to keep up with it, and the solutions are so expensive. So that's one of the great reasons to be able to share the kind of information that you're sharing with other mayors today, is that we can pick up on those best practices and look at what the solutions are that have been tried and true out there that we can implement in quick fashion to be able to serve our communities more effectively and more efficiently.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the idea of sharing, you really, everyone here is, if you think about it, while we're talking about tech, you've really taken a human approach to creating change, making sure that everyone's involved in this process, and you're looking at families opposed to just tech, which is very clear in this conversation. And then, of course, the idea of collaborating. I love it. Thank you for that. And before we close out, Mayor Barnett, could you give us a little bit, some insight, and maybe a future idea you might be working on?
Yeah, what I'm going to be spending my time on, obviously continuing to mentor Jane and David, which was a significant personal trend, but important nonetheless. They've hit on a couple of things that are that I think, Mayor Castro mentioning pipe bursting. It's not sexy, but it is a game changer for what we're doing. She also mentioned the license plate readers. Our folks here think that's the greatest invention since the taser in terms of changing policing. Wildly effective. We're using drones now in proactive policing here in the city. As a suburban community, one of the challenges we have in an area that still loves and thrives on the automobile is congestion, and the way new traffic management tools in terms of lighting are being utilized, some still in development, but I think are very interesting for places like ours that could eliminate traffic congestion or minimize it without making the lanes wider, just, using efficiency. And then as we started this conversation off, I'm really curious about AI. And I want to be one of those communities that, Petri dishes, these different things. We're trying to use it now for communication. We get a lot of communications about the same sort of topic. How can we respond to residents quicker and easier? Reducing staff response time. So I think there's going to be a lot of data that we're going to be able to have at our fingertips that we've never had before. And AI is going to help us assimilate that and help us make decisions. And the last thing I would say, which I think is another interesting point, is that this isn't just an American mayoral problem. It's shared by our colleagues around the world. And there are some great solutions that are happening across the globe. Many countries are far ahead of us in sustainability, in transit. And I always love getting together and hearing some of my global colleagues talk about their solutions, because as much as we share what we're doing here in the United States, there's many opportunities to share those across the mayoral landscape across the world. And we've stolen some great ideas, and I know there'll be more to come. So appreciate what you're doing in that regard. And both Mayor Castor and Mayor Holt were kind, but they are exceptional leaders in this space and are looked at in terms of the other mayors across the country as really leading in their respective cities and nationally as well. So appreciate their friendship and the ability to share some thoughts with them today.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. A big thank you to Mayor Castor, Mayor Hall, Mayor Barnett for taking time today. I'll also say thank you to the Smart City Expo World Congress team for giving us the support and the collaboration to really launch this out globally. And just mayors, keep doing what you're doing. Really appreciate it. And we are always honored to have you on as thought leaders. So thank you for that. And we'll talk to you soon. And wait, Mayor Hall, congrats on becoming the Vice President of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Really appreciate your thought leadership. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone.
Thank you.